Thank you very much, Stan. So it's my pleasure now to introduce one of the ambassadors to whom Stan referred earlier. This is possibly the only person in the room who's more nervous than I am because he's wondering what I'm going to say about him. Bob Coon is the founding partner of a medium-sized law firm in Vancouver. He has an enormous experience in the practice of law and has acted as lead counsel on a number of high-profile cases, including appearing at the Supreme Court of Canada. Bob has also devoted a lot of time to charity work, served as chair or director of a number of nonprofit entities, and is probably best known to the people in this room because of his extraordinary blog site called Positively Parkinson's, and I think many people here are familiar with it. Now, there are a few other things that you may not know about. How much time do I have about Bob? So as part of his ambassador activities, he recently rode around the world on a motorcycle. And because he was looking for things to do in his spare time, he recently decided to take on the role as president of a university. Now, I actually bumped into Bob and Renee earlier today and asked what I should say about him, and Renee said, "Tell everybody he's good looking." Well, I guess I'd have to tell you because he's a lawyer. Bob, will you please take the podium?
That's probably the nicest thing anybody's ever said. Or maybe it's the only thing John has ever told me that I could believe in. John's my neurologist, so. Although the world may see people with Parkinson's shaking uncontrollably, struggling to move, weak and wobbly, let them also see our hope. A hope that knows that strength is found in weakness, fortitude in frailty, and daring in disability. A hope that clings to the best of our dreams. A hope that presses on not just for ourselves, the privileged few, but for the world that looks to us to lead the way. When all seems lost or far away, we must go on with hope unshaken. A year ago, I traveled around the world, not as Dr. Stossel said by motorcycle, but nonetheless around the world, 17 countries, 50,000 kilometers, inviting everyone I could find to join us today in proclaiming with one voice that we are brothers and sisters, we are family. To my delight, I was welcomed as a friend by people with Parkinson's like Augustin in Santiago, Chile, Roland in Johannesburg, South Africa, Marianne in Kuwait City, Chris in Sydney, Australia, and Lloyd in Auckland, New Zealand, and many others. I was inspired by neurologists like Pedro Chana in Santiago, and healthcare workers like Maria Barreto in Mumbai, India. I felt like the world had welcomed me. And tonight it is my privilege and pleasure to welcome the world to my country, to Canada, to the magnificent city of Montreal, to the World Parkinson's Congress 2013. I and my 11 fellow Parkinson's Congress ambassadors, Fulvio, Jin, Sharon, Steve, Margarita, Tim, Sarah, Israel, John, Yvonne, and Ryan, my friends, are thrilled to have you join us. We've come here to celebrate achievements made in our common quest for the cure. We are here to champion a better life. We are here to dispel the disappointment and discouragement, the despair that would dare take away our joie de vivre, our love of life. We are here to share the warmth that is found in the confidence and courage of one another. But more than that, we have come seeking something that will fight the fear of future days, that loneliness that creeps uninvited into our hearts. We have all come here to find hope, something to believe in. hope that fuels our faith in the scientists and researchers who seek solutions for us, hope that new medications will provide relief, even if brief, from the relentless advances of the disease, hope in therapies and treatments that alleviate the pain, and hope that holds the hands of others half a world away. With hope, we are unshaken. Without it, we are lost. For me, it was January 19, 2006, a Thursday. I was not prepared for the words, "You have Parkinson's disease." I felt unready for the battle that lay ahead. I was afraid to fight the very foe that took my father's life. It was that day that I began to learn a secret. As serious as many aspects of Parkinson's disease may be, I soon learned there is one more soul-crushing symptom than any other. You see, Parkinson's is a self-isolating disease. For many people with Parkinson's, their world shrinks. As I began to notice my own propensity to withdraw, I also began to listen to the words that people with Parkinson's were using. It was then that I realized something about the importance of pronouns. Digging into it, I found that in 2011, a social psychologist and language expert, a Mr. Pennebaker, wrote The Secret Life of Pronouns, in which he describes the power of personal pronouns. Consider these facts. The words I, my, me are three of the most commonly used words in the English language, with that single letter word I being ahead of the pack by far. Studies show that the word I is spoken almost twice as much by people who are depressed. Conversely, the word is rarely spoken by truly confident leaders. Further evidence suggests that consciously reducing our use of the words like I and me and my can improve the way you think and feel about yourself and the world around you. But changing one's personal pronoun usage is more difficult than you think. Most of us have an overwhelming propensity to want to talk about ourselves. Let me give you an example. At one point on my round-the-world trip, I was on a train from Cusco, high up in the Peruvian Andes, to the extraordinary ruins of Machu Picchu. Seated nearby were some young travelers from Australia, not known for their limitation on travel venture. I decided to try an experiment. The goal was to test how much I could get my fellow travelers to talk about themselves while disclosing as little as possible about myself. By the end of the 2-hour train trip, I knew virtually everything about them, their whole life story, and virtually every relationship of importance. They knew virtually nothing about me, not my name, my life story, or any of the special circumstances which brought me to that train ride to Machu Picchu. How have we become so self-absorbed? As with some of you, I was born in the post-war baby boomer era, the one that said you can have it all. Our generation stood against authority and insisted upon our personal rights. It was a generation of free love, freedom to choose, live and let live, do your own thing. No wonder I grew up thinking that the world was all about me. And every subsequent generation seems to have built on that self-oriented foundation. One case in point, what's the current icon that defines our generation, our society? The iPhone. Whether our future is filled with success or struggle, dignity or disaster, remember the power of personal pronouns. We are not alone. We are linked, joined together as a we. Together, we can improve the quality of our lives. We can expand the scope of awareness and help people around the world. Together, we can and we will find a cure for the plague of Parkinson's disease. We are together, people of hope who have a hand in the future. We must reach out to the world around us. As we see our hope take root, grow, bear fruit, we must learn to share it with others. One example of enabling others is for you to purchase at least one Parky to help with the travel grants of those who would be here, but due to lack of resources, were unable to share this World Parkinson's Congress, but we would like to see them in 2016. Stay. In order to sustain hope, the global Parkinson's community must be committed to coordinating its efforts. We must commit ourselves to collaborate. We must commit ourselves to forego petty self-interest, to resolve the turf wars and overcome our need to claim credit for things. If hope is to become more than hollow words or just another dream that disappoints, we must see our world differently. We must change the dominance of I. How can we go on with hope unshaken? What is the secret lesson I learned and keep on learning since that day 7 years ago? What is the reason that I believe in the World Parkinson Congress, which embodies this secret? It is committing ourselves to community, a commitment to unity. Perhaps you can remember it this way. What is the difference between illness and wellness? Illness begins with I. Wellness begins with we.